Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's ThaTimster. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get part 2 of the inventory tutorial working. So this is only using logic bricks, no Python, except for I think the mouselook script, but yep, that pretty much just means it's going to be very messy and lots of logic bricks, which you hopefully found out from part 1. So today we're going to be, if we press P, well, before we had objects all over the ground. If you walk close enough to them, you can pick them up and you can bring up a menu and it'll have the object in it, which was sort of cool. You could pick up the object in any order, like so, and they'll be all over the place. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a selector. So depending on what number you press on the keyboard, you select different ones. And say for instance I press 5 and we have picked up cone already, the cone will appear in front of the player, obviously parented. I can do that again. For example, if I press 3, lots like that, nothing's popping up. But if I pick up crystal while it's selected, then the crystal will suddenly pop up. So hopefully you guys have gone through part 1, which was a really big mess as well, but you definitely need that. This tutorial will probably be pretty useless if you haven't got that first part done. So anyway, we're going to go open up our Fireweed last time. So if you got everything working correctly, we should have our objects all over the scene here. If we go close to them, we can pick them up, and there's our menu. And we'll just pick up these ones, and I think I made them slightly different colors. But you know, you sort of get the main point of it. So yeah. Let's get started. So we're going to go back to previous, or you can just press Control down arrow, and I'm going to turn that on. Then we're going to go to the overlay scene, and we need to add a selector. So if we go to maybe frame 20 or past it, so we know where the selector will need to be. Then we can press Shift A, add a plane. And we want it to roughly scale up to the edges of each inventory section. So the reason I say roughly is because if we do move it, some of them are slightly smaller than others, while some are bigger, so we sort of want it just one size fits all rather than it being too big and overlapping, because that'll look strange. So somehow that looks good, and once you're happy with it, we can move it down a bit, just GY and then SY and scale it, and then we're going to press Tab to go into edit mode, then press Control R to add a loop cut, and now we're going to cut it into the side like that. I'm going to press Z to go into wireframe, and I can just adjust that a little bit more. So something like that. We just want a sort of thickness around that. So at the top loop cut and the bottom loop cut. There we go. Now we don't need this middle face, so we can go into the face select mode and right click on the middle face and then press X and delete face. There we go. So now we just should have one big loop. It's very cool. This can be called selector. There we go. And now what we need to do is give it a material, so depending on what you want to do, I guess it could be anything really. I'm going to make it bright yellow, just so the player pays attention to it. So maybe something like that, just on shadeless, and you can leave back facing on. We're going to go down here, select texture mode, and now we need we need the selector to move from each box depending on which one's selected. To do that, the easiest way is to just use an animation. So basically down here, I guess it doesn't really matter, on frame 1 we want it to be where number 1 is, so I'm going to drag it all the way over here, so it's roughly yep, like that, maybe something like that. Then we'll go to frame 1 and we will press I to insert a keyframe and select location. Then we'll go to frame 2 and we need object 2, so drag it over, and you want these sort of lines to match up if you can. Then we're going to press I location again, go to frame 3 first, then drag this along to the third object, so crystal, something roughly like that. Then we're going to press I, insert location again, go to frame 4, so on number 7 I've put in the last keyframe. Now to move it around, well right now if we press play it just instantly skips. I mean there's one frame between each one. So cool thing that we can do with the action actuator here is we can select property, and we can use a property to tell it when to move. So basically what we're going to do here is, well, I'm just going to be lazy and call this, maybe just select, just whatever selection it has, and it's going to be an integer. Then we're going to add a property on this side, and it's going to be changed, so when select is changed, and then we'll add an always sensor on true, and join the two up. So when that happens, then it goes to this action. Now we need select action, and we're going to select property select. I know you might want to call it something else. Let's just call it number. So number works fine, just to make it a bit different, and yep, that should be working now. So next thing we need to do is we're going to add a keyboard sensor. There's going to be for the number 1. It's going to be on a tap, and it's going to, we're going to add a property here, and it's going to assign number to 1, which means it will change this to number 1, so it's on there. So we can test that out by skipping along here, and now if we press P and press 1, then it'll skip down to that, which means it's working, which is good. Then we need to add a keyboard actuator for each one, so 7, so maybe I should name these 1, this one's 2, so then down here 2 and on tap. You have to make sure it's on tap, it's important, otherwise yeah, the sensing is a bit funny and it's not sure whether you have deselected it or not. So that's number 3, next one's number 4, and we just need 3 more, so you click in here and press K 4 times and it will add a keyboard sensor for each click. So that's 5, 6, 7, and tap on all of them. And I'll just call them numbers up here as well, and minimize them. And the last one here. So then we're going to add properties on this side. So we're going to press Y quite a few times, and then we'll join them up. And then we're going to assign number to 2, and the next one's going to be assign number to 3. And I guess if you wanted to, I don't know, you could call this one 1, just for the sake of keeping it organized, but I don't know, up to you. I mean, it has the property and the number after it anyway, so I'll just leave it. Number 4, and yeah, we basically just need all of them to be in there. Number 6, and the last one, number 7. So now we need one more thing, and that is basically if we press P and press M, we can bring our menu up and down First of all, this thing here is underneath the menu for some strange reason, so because we enabled the location, we're going to have to move it up and then press I, insert location, and go to the next frame, move it up, I, insert location, and that should be all of them. So now if we press 0, go to frame 0, and then press P, we can move our sort of selector along, but there's no actual menu for it to select from. So also what I noticed, I think if we press, number 3 is a bit off, so what you can also do is realign these, making sure you're on the right frame, and then you can just press I, insert location, just to make them a bit more even. Because now we've moved it up, it will look slightly different as well. So we'll just get that one working, I, insert location, and there we go. So now what we basically want to do is we don't want the selector to be visible if there's no menu visible. So to do that, when I think when the user presses M, it switches between the properties of menu being true and false. So when the menu is true, then we want our selector here to be visible, but otherwise not. So first thing we need to do is go over into the physics, select invisible. You can select actor if you want, but it doesn't really matter, it's an overlay. Then here we're going to add 2 visibility controllers, one visible, one not, and just minimize those. Then hold down shift with the selector selected and click the menu. So now this is a little bit too squished, so to go into this, like in full viewport mode, we can press Control up arrow, and that will make it full view, which is handy when you have huge matrices like this, full of logic bricks. But anyway, we're going to select our top one here, and we're going to join it up to the visible, to the first one. And then the second one, we're going to join up to the second one, I think, if that worked correctly. So we'll just press Control down arrow to go back out and quickly test that. So go to frame 0 and then press P, there's nothing there. If we press M, a menu pops up and it isn't there, our selector, so we've obviously hooked them up wrong. So back in the logic editor window, we're going to press Control up arrow, and we're going to cross these ones out. So holding down Control and dragging over these, you can sort of knife cut them if they want to work. So we want the ones from selector to be chopped off. There we go. And now we need to hold down shift, select the menu again, and Control up arrow, and this time we want to select the one for action that goes up. We want that to be on the top one, and the top one here for action to go down, we want that to be the bottom one. So Control down arrow again, and now if we press P, there's nothing there. We can select, nothing appears. If we press M, our selector appears, and we can choose our items. Okay, so now we're done for now in the viewport here. Next we are going to go back to the main, and right here what we need to do is press Shift A. We're going to add an empty, scale it down a bit, then move it around like so, and you just want it in this side here, so where you want all the other objects to be. Then with our empty selected, we're going to hold down shift and select the head as well, and press Control P and parent, so that basically means it moves around with the head here. Then we need to select that empty, press Shift S and cursor to selected, then Shift A, and now we need to add all our objects. So if you, I don't know, modeled some good versions, you want to put them in here. So first of all, our cube, the name doesn't really matter. Then UV sphere, which we're going to turn down the segments of, and scale it, make it smooth as well. So you want them all to be relatively the same size, just, yeah, I guess for consistency. So icosphere, now cylinder, just turning down the vertice count to keep it running smoothly. So something like that. Then a cone of 16 again is fine. Now the cone's a bit funny, especially how it scales, so might need to move it up a bit. Then next we're going to add a monkey, or just Suzanne, and because it's just turned in a funny direction, we want it either facing away from the player or towards. So maybe towards will sort of let them know what it is. Then we're going to add our last object, which is a donut, and maybe we should just halve these, so from 48 to 24, and from 12 to 6. Okay, maybe not, maybe we'll just leave it on 12. Okay, cool, so we'll click smooth on that, and press S to scale, and make it roughly that size. Okay, so now we have all these objects clumped around one empty. Then what we need to do is press Z to go into wireframe mode, then press A to deselect, B to box select, and select the everything all together. Then select the head and press Ctrl P, parent to object, and now all of these should move with the head. Next thing we need to do is to each object we need to add 2 visibility sensors, just like before. So I'm going to select the wood first and click in here, press V twice, one visible, one not visible, and minimize, then hide, or H to hide, and then do the same for the monkey, always making the bottom one invisible, just for, yeah, consistency when you're trying to join them all up. And once that's done, we can press Alt H and unhide them. Then over here we're going to add a game property. Actually, we're going to add lots, so one for each object. So I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more. This first one's going to be, I guess, 1, you could call it, or cube, ball, crystal, wood, and, you know, whatever objects we had. So cone, I think, was the next one, and then monkey and donut. So name all your objects in there, then select boolean from the menu, like so, and then the next thing we're going to do is when the property for cube is equal to true on a true pulse, and it gets a message saying equip cube, so with a capital C, then it's going to, if we join them up, it's going to make, well, we need 2, so an AND controller and a NAND controller, so join them both together. Don't worry about this message yet, we haven't sorted that out, but we need a property cube on true, and join that to AND and NAND, and then same for the message, which should be on a true pulse as well. So true pulse for both of them. Then we're going to hold down shift and try select our cube. There we go. So our cube is selected there. The yellow object, or the cube, once you've selected it, should be at the top. So we're going to join those two, the NAND controller to the not visible and the AND controller to the visible. and minimize those, and there we go. So that's one object done, a cube. Next thing we need to do is add the ball. So when ball is equal to true on a true pulse, and when it gets a message equip ball with a capital B on a true pulse, then it's an AND and a NAND controller. Join them all together like that, and basically it's going to toggle the invisibility for the ball, so the sphere here. So if we select our empty, then hold down shift and select our UV sphere, then we can join those two up. Make sure, I guess you can double check by the name to see which one you're joining it to, but you sort of have to do it in order to keep things relatively organized. Then we're going to add a property here. This next one's going to be crystal, and crystal is equal to true if I can spell it properly, and it gets the message equip crystal. Then we're going to add a AND and a NAND, and like so, and then we're going to join them up to the crystal, so the icosphere, so like that. So the next thing we need to do is have something assigning our properties from the empty, all of these, we need something assigning them to true. So on the empty side, we shouldn't have anything at the moment. We're going to add a whole lot of properties, or not whole lot, we're going to add, we're going to be adding 7. So yeah, clicking and pressing Y to add a property. So again, assign cube to true. This one's going to be ball, obviously, and so on for the rest of them, in order, of course. Okay, so once you've got those all working, minimize them all, then we're going to do one more thing, and that is for each one of these boxes we need to join it up with a corresponding sort of assign property. So first of all, for example, if we want to maybe start with the donut, so hold down shift, select the donut, that will select both of them, then we're going to press Control up arrow, and now we have huge amounts of logic bricks, but that's fine. We're going to, up here in our donut sensor, when it collides and not that one, we want to have this one, so the bottom one, and we want to join that up to the donut, which is the bottom one here, I think. Yep, assign donut to true. There we go, that's the donut sensor done. And apparently all of these are connected, which is handy, so we can select our ball sensor, join that up to the second one, and a cone, and I don't know what on, oh, monkey, cone, I think that one's cone, yep. So anyway, if you don't have all of them there, you can control down arrow to go out, and basically you can just hold down shift and select all of them. I'm going to have to do it anyway. So with all of them selected, then we're going to press control up arrow to go back into here, and we're going to get our cube sensor sorted out, so always joining from the bottom and controller. So to this one here, the cube one, and the ball we already joined, the cone thing we already joined. It's sort of an alphabetical order, which is silly, well not silly but annoying. Crystal sensor goes to the third one, donut sensor is joined up already, monkey sensor goes to the second to the last one, and wood sensor goes to this one over here. So there we go, they should all be hooked up. Now the last thing we need is a message from the overlay scene. So we're going to go back to our overlay scene, and we need the selector thing here to send out a message for us. So I think, yep, if we have everything else set up right, so we're going to add properties. You can just click in here and press P. Do that lots of times until we have something around 7. Then this one is going to be when number is equal to 1, when number is equal to 2, and so on until we have all of these added in. So number 4, number 5, oh no, number 5, and oh, one more thing, make sure each of them is on true, so true pulse, like so, yep, true pulse, and I think this one's number 6, so enter that in, then this one should be the last one, number 7, and on true pulse as well, so make sure all of them have true. Then the next thing we're going to do is, over this side, we're going to add some message actuators. So I'm going to press M, or you can click message, whichever one you'd rather do. We need 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We already had 2, so that should be 7. Then control up arrow to go into our big window here, and we're going to add some AND controllers, bots, and join them up. Join the two up, and minimize all these. For the first message here, we're going to, it's going to be equip cube. Now the important part here is that you spell it exactly like you spelt it on the main scene, so not the overlay. So I have a capital C in each one, so just equip and then the object, so ball. And if anything goes wrong, then you probably should double check that you spelled it right in both places, because again, it happens like really often and is usually the main cause of a problem. So I think this one's wood, and this one is cone, I think, and equip monkey, and then, oh, if I can, yeah, again, spelling important, and the last one, equip donuts, and they're all going to be minimized. Now you can leave both of those fields blank. It basically means you aren't specifying a certain object to send it to, an empty broadcast, so anything that's going to pick it up, it will just use it, and the text here Yeah, I just left that, it works fine. So we're going to add all those ones in. If we have, yeah, we've got 7, and we have our properties on this side. So if I haven't forgotten anything, right now we should have something working. One more thing though is on each of our sort of dummy objects here, we need to select invisible in the physics tab and then press H to hide it after you've clicked invisible, of course, because they're going to be visible in the viewport otherwise. And do the same for the cube, then press Alt H to unhide them, and now they'll be back in the scene. So we're going to press numpad 0 to go into the camera view, then down here select textured, zoom in a bit, and now if we press P, there we go, we'll bring up our menu, there's our selector, there we go, working nicely, and say I want to pick up this wood, and now go to number 4, then I have a small, probably a little bit too small, but yeah, you get the main sort of point of it. There's a piece of wood floating beside there. If I pick up my crystal and then change, I now have a crystal instead of a piece of wood. And the same for the monkey and the donuts. So if I go 6 and 7, then they appear, and you can switch between them sort of almost instantly. And yeah, so now I think it's only really, I mean, pretty much switch between any object. Now the main thing might be probably texturing these little objects, and most of them were quite small, so I'm going to select all of them and press S to make them slightly bigger, like that. Yeah, it should be good. But yeah, I think that is the main thing done, pretty much. So we've got it, you can walk up to an object, you can pick it up, when you go into your menu, you have a selector, then you can select the object and the object appears in front of you. So maybe, I don't know, you might have a torch or something, and when you, I don't know, want to switch to possibly a book or something like that, then you can switch to it and it becomes visible. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the tutorial done, guys. So hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Hopefully you got some helpful tips or got a working inventory. But yeah, that's the tutorial done, guys. So hope you enjoyed it. If you think anyone else might like it, feel free to share. Sharing, liking, commenting, favoriting, that sort of ting stuff. Yep, that's good. I like that. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.